You know, for most people, their New Year's resolution is to be more positive and to try to see the best in people, but not friggin' me. Because my New Year's resolution is to expose more predators and people who I think are just plain nasty, and to do that on this channel. So happy New Year's to us, my dude. Let's get this shit going. A lot of you are aware of Drake, aka Aubrey Graham, aka Jimmy from Degrassi, the character that got shot in the back during a school shooting and then was written off the show by him blackmailing his father to let him get experimental surgery in Sweden. No, that is not a joke. Yes, I know that off the top of my head, and absolutely Degrassi did indeed go there. And by go there, I mean go to that sweet spot that only terrible television shows can go to, like Riverdale and Pretty Little Liars. Drake, for me, is famous for being the male counterpart to Taylor Swift. He is the Taylor Swift of hip-hop, and being the guy who constantly loves to complain about how nobody really likes him and how he just wants to love and cherish a woman, but all these mean girls are just jerks and assholes. They keep rejecting nice guy Drake. If you read Drake's lyrics, they literally sound like the diary of a guy who unironically wears a fedora and bows to women after meeting them and tells them to break up with their partners because he would be so much better for them. He literally sounds like a guy who would ask girls to kiss in front of him to prove that they're gay. You know those TikTok challenges where someone will only respond to someone else using lyrics to a song? Like with Call Me Maybe, or I don't know, any other thing that's hip nowadays. If you did that with a Drake song, those texts would immediately be put on Our Nice Guys. That's how bad it is. But today, despite me bitching about that for a full 10 minutes straight, I'm actually not going to be focusing on how this multimillionaire who was able to make bank off his music and become a famous recording artist basically tried to publicly humiliate one of the most amazing, talented, and business-savvy women in the business into being his girlfriend. No. That's a whole ass other video that I have saved for a very special rainy day. No, today we're going to be talking about all the creepy, downright predatory things that Drake has done that I personally believe make him a full, unfiltered, skeezy scumbag. That's right, it's 2020, and your girl isn't going to pull her punches. Especially with a man who decidedly gave a job to someone who had been arrested for domestic violence and faced charges of forcing a woman into prostitution as well as human trafficking. You know, something super fun and casual that we all like to do on the weekends. So let's start there, shall we? Because that's as good a point as any. Seems like a really chill, easy way into this swimming pool. You see, back in June 2017, Drake signed his former bodyguard onto his label directly after that bodyguard was let out of prison. After he was signed, Drake let the media know that he was so happy to sign this former inmate because he knew Baka Not Nice was making a change for himself and was dedicating his life to music, and he just wanted to be there for him and provide him with that opportunity to do so. You know, like such a nice guy who cherishes women and their safety and just wants to put them at ease. Such a nice, wonderful person. However, Baka Not Nice was put in prison after being found guilty of assault of a 22-year-old escort who he claimed was his girlfriend. There were other charges to go with that stemmed from this newly signed rapper forcing the same girl into prostitution and sexual slavery, and those charges continued all the way up to full-on human trafficking. However, those charges ended up being dropped because the 20-year-old victim was traumatized, understandably, by that situation and wanted to move on from that. Like, she had told the court system everything but couldn't bear testifying, which is completely and utterly understandable. Now, something that I really should impart on you right now is that Drake, Aubrey Graham, Jimmy, whatever you want to call him, bitch-ass McTittyfuck, was very aware of exactly what had happened with his friend. He was very aware of the illegal actions that led to the arrest of his bodyguard, and he stood by this man through all of that. And after he was released, literally gave this man, who was complicit in human trafficking and sexual slavery, a platform and a shitload of cash, and told him to go out there, dude. Here are all my fans, all my young, impressionable fans who love my work. Go victimize them. Go right on ahead. Now, I know what I'm going to get on this video is a lot of Drake stans yelling at me about how he's a woke god and he's a feminist hero who looks amazing with his ugly chin strap beard. But before any of you type that out, I want you to realize that what I'm doing right now, this is not fear-mongering. or making anything up. Baka Not Nice, real name Travis Savory, was convicted in a court of law of domestic violence and was charged with human trafficking. This man is a dangerous person who should not be the front man for any entourage. He shouldn't be a part of a famous person's entourage. He was complicit in human what? That is insane. That is absolutely bonkers. But you know what? Who cares, really? Who really gives a gosh darn diddly fuck? I mean, just because Drake employs a man who went to jail for assault and faced charges of human trafficking of a young woman and forced her into sexual slavery, that doesn't mean Drake himself isn't a weird guy who would be creepy to young women. I mean, he did buy a billboard to profess his love to Rihanna after dating her for a couple weeks. That certainly wasn't weird or all around fucking gross and manipulative, especially when she was very clear with him that she didn't like grand displays of affection like that and told him that numerous times, and has stated in magazine interviews after the fact that, he knew she wouldn't want that. He would never be creepy, though, to a young woman. Oh, wait. Yes, he would. Let's start with his relationship with Bella Harris, who, if you weren't aware, is a very young model who is related to music producer Jimmy Jam. Not to be confused with Jimmy John, who is not a music producer who has worked with amazing pop acts and is a legend. Bella Harris and Drake met backstage at a concert back when she was 16 years old and in high school, and he was 29, which is older than me right now at time of recording this. As I speak this word into this mic, he was older than she was, and I would never be friends with someone that young. I would never be you feel me? She was nearly half of his age at the time of them meeting and her father introducing them, and she was still friggin' in high school. Just take some time and reflect on that. Breathe in, now breathe out, and think about how creepy that whole gosh darn rootin' tootin' thing is. Let's move on. They met when she was 16, but like most 30-year-old men who can't seem to find women their own age to date and hang around younger women to be creepy with them after grown women reject them, Drake waited until she was 18 to really start hanging out with her. And social media hopped on this story like Drake wishes Rihanna would hop on his dick. Straight up, the media and publications started talking about this situation and calling Drake creepy and weird. And one article I read even called Drake the creepy uncle of hip-hop and claimed that he was going through some midlife crisis. Absolutely none of the press surrounding this couple was good. And so, very quickly after their lovey-dovey post went up, after people reported seeing them make out in public, of them holding each other and all that, they went away and both parties said nothing had happened. Which, just straight up, no. I don't believe that for a minute. Not even for 10 seconds am I going to even allow that thought to ruminate in my little brain hole. I might be an idiot, but I'm not that big of an idiot. No. There are multiple reports of sightings of them together, people talking about them kissing, their own posts of them together, frankly them canoodling, and frankly, if the internet hadn't called him a creeper-rooney for dating a girl who had literally months before just graduated high school, I am sure they would have stayed together. But no. Drake might be a huge creep. He might be the type of guy who at 30 years old will date someone who's fresh out of high school, but he's also super sensitive. He can't have the internet at large thinking he's a rotted potato monster. That hurts his feelings. So he just decided to break it off and not deal with that any further. But if that was the only time he had been creepy, we sure as fuck wouldn't be talking about him right here, right now. So let's talk about his relationship with Millie Bobby Brown, aka 11 from Stranger Things, or for those of you in the audience who watch Law & Order SVU, a sociopathic kid from one episode. That's right, she made her rounds on cable crime shows. Go fact check me if you want. Millie Bobby Brown is one of the most famous young actors who is active right now, with her getting acclaim for her role in Stranger Things above all else. She is a young businesswoman with her brand Florence by Mills and is doing a lot of things that you wouldn't really expect a girl her age to do. However, most people got concerned when she talked about her friendship with Drake. Now, before she had commented about her friendship with the nicest rapper since Mr. Rogers, they had posted a couple of photos of them together, and for the most part, I, along with most people, didn't really think much of it. People didn't automatically jump to Drake being a weirdo because she was a 14-year-old person who was probably a fan of the rapper, and he was an adult who saw an opportunity to gain clout off of the brand she was associated with. I mean, Stranger Things was everywhere. Why wouldn't he pose for the photo? It's why in in the image that he posted, they're doing her iconic season 1 pose. Most people, like me, just thought, oh cool, they're fans of each other's work. That's fine. But when asked about her friendship with the man who collabed with Chris Brown to get back at Rihanna for not wanting to sit on his dick, Millie Bobby Brown had this to say. I love him. I met him in Australia, and he's a great friend and a great role model. You know, we text. We just texted each other the other day, and he was like, I miss you so much. And I was like, I miss you more. He is great. He's coming to Atlanta, so I definitely am going to see him. I'm so excited. Later, when she was asked what they talk about, she said, about boys. He helps me. He's great. He's wonderful. I love him. However, when the interview asked her what specific advice Drake had given her, she stated, that stays in the text messages. So, that's fucking weird. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you did. If you think a girl who is 14 talking to a man who is in his 30s, asking for romance advice and texting him, having his private phone number is like completely fine and normal, I would also like you to define what is fine and normal. Because that shit, no. That is weird. I can't even imagine being a kid and wanting to talk to someone his age, let alone asking them personal advice about my romantic relationship. That's weird, that's not appropriate, and that is freaking gross. And if you are one of the people who have read, seen, or learned anything about how predators operate, this is textbook grade school stuff. They get you to trust them with personal things that you don't necessarily want to tell your parents about, like boys or just basic advice. They gain your personal trust and make you think that they're best friends, despite the fact that they are a full-grown adult who should be focusing on their own damn life and not you, a literal child. They make you feel cool and adult and mature and special, and it's gross. End of. Because what they want to do with that trust is gross. End of. I would have much rather her say, yeah, I met him backstage at his concert and he was nice, rather than, yeah, I met him backstage at his concert and now we're great friends and he gave me a 14-year-old actual human child his private telephone number and we text about my personal life, because that is totally normal. Now let's talk about the recent case of Drake being a creep to another young woman who is barely an adult in the United States of America. Billie Eilish will do a video every year with Vanity Fair and answer the same questions every time. It's this little trope thing. I personally don't get it, but you know, it shows growth and it's actually kind of interesting. And this year, when she sat down for the interview, she talked about her friendship with full-grown adult man who is almost twice her age, Drake. She talked about how Drake is such a nice guy and just so great and he's so wonderful and he doesn't even need to be nice because he's just so great it would be okay if he was a jerk, which I just want to clarify, no amount of wealth or success makes it okay for you to turn off your morals and behave like a dick pig. That doesn't happen. That's simply not how life works, but moving on. Then she brought up how she, like Millie, texts Drake, a full-grown adult man sometimes, and how he is just so friggin' cool. Now, that, to me, strikes me as weird once again. It strikes me as predatory once again, because there's absolutely positively no reason why this 30-something-year-old man should have private conversations with this person who barely is 18 now. As of recording, she's 18 now. Back then, she was not. She was 17. Like, there just isn't a reason for that to happen. And I've heard some people say, like, well, maybe they just wanted to collab and you guys are all fear-mongering and maybe they just want to work together. But no, my dudes, because if that was gonna happen, we would have heard about it and she wouldn't have said they talk about personal shit, because once again, it's not just two people in the same business discussing the business side of things and Drake mentoring these young girls who haven't fully matured yet. No, it's him having personal private conversations with these young girls about their lives, getting ridiculously personal with them about their romance lives in a way a 30-something-year-old should not be getting. It's weird. It's gross. It's not okay. And even more so, there are no reports of him doing this with young males. Like, it'd be one thing if we heard that, oh, he's really close with Finn Wolfhard. He's really close with, I don't know, some other young man. But no, always young girls below the age of 18. And what makes it worse, in my opinion, is the fact that this is all happening in the same vicinity where Drake has his good friend back and not nice, Travis. He is bringing these young women like Bella Harris, Millie Bobby Brown, and Billie Eilish into this environment with a man who was charged with putting a woman into sexual slavery, human trafficking, and assault. And we're all supposed to pretend that that's okay? That these women aren't suddenly like in the same vicinity as this literal fucking like predator? As this literal fucking predator? Even if you don't think Drake is that bad, Travis is, and Drake is putting them in front of Travis. So what the fuck do we want to do with that? To summarize this video, Drake is a disgusting trash can of a man. He is the Taylor Swift of the hip-hop community who is consistently putting young women into harm's way, and he is verifiably gross. And personally, I would like something to happen about it. I don't know what, but something needs to be done. If you did indeed get to this part of the video, please leave one of these in the comments down below. It lets me know that you got to the end. If you do that, that guarantees you that I will see it. I will look up your comment. I'll either heart or respond. Just let me know what you think about this absolute trash can. Let me know where you stand, and I will see you in my next video. Later.